Hey guys, and welcome to what I think is going to be the first of two unpacking videos for kind of my makeup room here. I am kind of tackling this room last. I wanted the rest of my house to kind of feel put together before I came in here and tackled that one. It was just kind of the priority. Get the kitchen unpacked, make sure I have everything set up for work. That's all done. So first video, what I want to do is kind of clear out what's in my bathroom. What's in my bathroom is what I took with me to the hotel. And then there's also a box from Ulta that has some of the newer things that I've collected really over the last couple of weeks. I really didn't do much makeup purchasing besides like if I ran out of a skincare item, I ordered that obviously during the move. But I've pretty much been living with this makeup for about 2 months now, exclusively. And that's definitely the first time in a long time for me where I've had sort of this like set makeup and a much smaller collection, and I haven't been able to dip into anything else. I mean, even when I do my everyday makeup drawer pulls, if I'm, getting ready and I'm like, oh gosh, I really want a different eyeshadow palette today, I'll go pull one, right? So that really wasn't an option for the last 2 months here. And as you can see, my makeup is still all in boxes down here, and then all of the acrylic organizers. I don't believe I used all of these in storage. Some of them I think are extras that I may or may not need, but all of the acrylic storage is here. All my makeup is still in these boxes. My brushes are in these boxes. So that's all kind of just remains packed. My desk is set up. Ross did hang my mirror for me, which was awesome. Desk made it, no issues. I'm probably gonna have to respray paint this little ledge here at some point, and then probably do some more contact paper on the front because this got a little dinged up, but it's not bad. So I've got kind of the skeleton of the room kind of set up. This room is a lot bigger than the previous room that I had. So because this house doesn't have a finished basement, we had finished our basement in our last house, and we had a bedroom down there that had all this furniture. We just pulled all of this up here because I have more than enough room to film in this corner here, which is kind of my plan. Do you want in the bed? So is that what this is? All right, hang on. There it goes. That's what Marty wanted. Sleepy little dude. But the goal for this video is to get everything out of my bathroom, makeup wise, and up here to this room, and then to kind of sort through it and kind of give you an update about what it was like to use this all for the last 2 months as kind of exclusive makeup, any thoughts that I had, and then I also want to sort out the things that were part of my Project Pan for this year, because almost all my Project Pan makeup went with me to the hotel, but not all of it. And so I want to get my Project Pan makeup sorted back into the top 2 drawers of this acrylic container, which is where I usually keep things. And then I want to get those bottom 2 containers empty because that is where I put makeup that I'm testing. But I do want to get this room set up so I can start filming normally again, and I can get into my regular routine again because I'm going to have a lot of catch up that I need to do with you guys. So hopefully that makes sense. First video. Let's get the bathroom up here. Let's sort through the makeup. Let's talk about that. And then second video, let's unpack and get everything put away. Okay, 42 camera angles later, I think this is going to be the best one. Let's just dive into what's on top first. Top section here, very simple, had some brushes, 2 sections of eye brushes that have gotten totally mixed up together. And then I have face brushes over here. I will say in general, I felt like I had everything I needed from a brushes perspective, which is kind of telling. I mean, there was a couple of times I wished for a larger powder brush, but in general, I kind of felt like I was using my fingers and a sponge a lot because I was using so much cream product. So I really wasn't like missing a lot of brushes from here. In terms of fluffy blending brushes, that's really what I brought, mostly Wayne Goss brushes, sort of this eye brush set that goes all the way through the teens, like 16, 18, 19, 17, So kind of his standard brush set, and then I have one very old Sephora blending brush that I like to use when I really want to diffuse an edge out quite a bit. In terms of shader brushes and then more detailed brushes, I had the Wayne Goss flat shader brush, which unfortunately he doesn't make anymore. I had a Haku Haidu one that kind of is a little fluffier and blends a little bit softer than that packing brush from Wayne Goss.
I also had the Wanderous number 6. It can be sort of a blending brush and a shader brush the way that it is now in terms of applying as well as blending out. Great for one shadow look. I had the Wanderous pencil brush, some of his small little blending brushes, and then I had the Milani crease brush, which is actually great for putting color in the middle of, or your inner corner rather. Last brushes, just some liner brushes. So I brought the, what is this? Sedona Lace EB17, which is great for brows, spoolie, and I didn't really use this one a ton. I used the spoolie end a little bit, but didn't use that at all. And then I've got 2 sort of angled liner brushes, one that's very thin. This is from ColourPop. It's great if you're looking for a angled liner brush that is very thin, great for a really precise line. And then I have one that I use more frequently from Wet n Wild. This is an old brush, but it's like one I like to use to smudge out pencil liner, and it's quite filthy. It needs to get washed. I had these 3 for sort of base products. This is a highlighting brush from Real Techniques. I find it's the perfect size for just laying down the right amount of foundation in small areas and kind of working it around. I really love this brush. Oftentimes I will use this to apply a thin layer of foundation and then go over top with a sponge. This is just a great little concealer brush from Real Techniques. This is the F80 Air Sigma Flat Kabuki brush. It's kind of like their flat Kabuki brush, but it's more of a dual fiber brush, so it's a little fluffier and it applies product a little less heavily than what I would consider to be a flat brush to do. So I do like this one, although to be honest, I really wasn't using this size of brush often. Brought these 3 for powder, Real Techniques setting brush for underneath my eyes. This is Wanderous. This is part of a holiday collection. It's a paddle shaped brush that I feel like is great if I just want a little wisp of powder all over my face or under my eyes. And then this is a very old Sonia Kashuk number 19 brush that I do like for applying powder as well. And then this is really what I had for brush bronzer and highlight. This is the e.l.f. small stipple brush. I have used the absolute snot out of this with all my cream products. It continues to be my go-to favorite brush for applying cream and liquid blush. And then this is a super old VIB Rouge gift from Sephora, but it is great for cream contour or even cream bronzer. And then this is kind of what I was using for my powder products. So this is one of my favorite highlighting brushes. This is Wayne Goss. It's a 02 brush. Technically, I think he uses this as a powder brush, but I have to be honest, I kind of prefer it as a highlight brush because I feel like it diffuses really easily on my cheeks. It's got enough of a point that I can do precise placement, but it's fluffy enough that it doesn't leave me with a stripe. And then these are the exact same 2 brushes, one that's dyed and one that's not. So this is his 11 brush. This is a paddle style brush, so it definitely has that sort of pinched ferrule at the top there, and then sort of that paddle at the top. I use the dyed brush hair one for bronzer. I just find that it works really well to kind of put it in place and then diffuse it out. And then I also like this brush for a blush, powder blush. I feel like I can really pinpoint where I want the blush and bronzer to go with these brushes, but then it also allows me to diffuse them out in a really pretty way. So those are all the brushes that I brought with me. In terms of other stuff that was on top here, I had my eyelash curler because there's also another great place to put it. I have an old Beauty Blender solid container. This has long since been emptied, but what I like to do is actually, there's a couple of soaps that I know from hotels when I travel work really well for cleaning sponges. One in particular is the soaps that I get at the JW Marriott when we go out at Christmas time, and I always take I always get them to give me like a ton of those free little soaps, and then I just cut them to fit back inside this container, and I like it because it's got a little bit of a silicone scrubby thing on here, but I took this for obviously cleaning my sponges. And then speaking of sponges, I did just take this little container with me, and then 2 sets of sponges from the Shop Miss A collection, one with an angle and then one in that traditional teardrop shape. Took this little Scandinavia finishing spray. This is not the bridal edition, this is just the regular edition, but it's still really great. And I didn't want to take a big giant bottle, so this was actually perfect. And then I did have my MAC Fix Plus because this is part of my project pan. This I found during the move, so it ended up on top. This is the Toca Florence perfume, and I love this. There's not a ton left, so I ended up kind of using this as my primary perfume during the move. I don't wear perfume every day, to be honest. I really think about it in terms of like going out, but not so much in terms of putting perfume on every single day. So it was nice to have it. I was glad to find this little baby guy and I can use it up. This used to sit in a purse and I can't remember where I found it, but if you've ever moved, you know you find things when you start to pack everything up. And then I have a super old Lineage lip sleeping mask. It's almost empty. I use this when I'm getting ready if I feel like my lips are looking a little dry. And I did use this. I just need to probably use this up over the next couple weeks. Top drawer. This was all of the base products that I wanted to take, along with a little Urban Decay pencil liner or liner sharpener. It ended up just fitting best in this drawer, so I kept it here. In terms of primers, I didn't really take a ton because I was also taking some tinted moisturizers and I figured that's what I would end up wearing most, and it was. But I had two little baby samples that I had gotten, I don't know, pretty soon before we had left. One was the Smashbox Vitamin Glow Primer with vitamins B, C, and E. And then this was the Beauty Blender Opal Essence. To be honest, I didn't end up using these a ton because I don't care for really either one of them. I thought I would like this Beauty Blender Opal Essence because it had this really pretty gel texture and this really interesting sort of a bluish tint to it, but I thought it would be really pretty and water-like on my skin. But to be honest, I didn't really feel like I noticed any glow from it. And after I do my skincare routine, especially in the summertime, I don't need a lot of other hydration. If I'm going to put on a hydrating type primer, it's one that I'd like to have a little bit of glow. So ultimately, I just didn't feel like this one did anything. And then this one is heavily fragranced, and it's very strong of orange. It's another gel sort of moisturizer type. It's very thin, very lightweight. But to be honest, if I'm gonna go with that kind of primer from Smashbox, I'm gonna go with the, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm not connected to my makeup anymore. I'm gonna put it here on the screen. I can't think of the name right now. I really did enjoy that one. I feel like it does a better job, and then I feel like it's less fragranced of oranges the way that this one is. So these are kind of both a pass for me. I'm probably just going to chuck them. And then the only other thing I could kind of count as a primer that was part of this was the Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. I did use this a ton. Like, I continue to love this product. I love it on its own. I love it under makeup products. I love it on top of makeup products. It's just a glorious, glorious product. So I did have the makeup finishing spray in here on top. And then I found this when I was moving out after we'd packed most things. I think I found it in a handbag. This is the makeup primer spray from Scandinavia. And to be honest, I didn't really use this guy a ton. I was actually probably reaching for, if I wanted to like get some more moisture on my face, I was trying to use my MAC Fix Plus just to use it up a little bit. So that was in there, didn't get used a ton. In terms of base products, I did keep the Misha Signature BB Cream in here. I did wear this a lot. Gosh, have I told you guys this? I can't remember. Everything is a blur in terms of when I purchase things, but I did go ahead and make the decision to repurchase the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. I am in the shade Fair 4N, which I actually think is a pretty good shade match for me. When I purchased this the first time, my container was like really separated and weird, and like I could see like the serum, clear serum separated from the pigment, and no matter what I did to shake it up or blend it onto my skin, it just wasn't sitting well. And then I kept hearing everybody and their mother talk about how lovely this was on their skin, and no one, I mean, literally no one was mentioning the problem that I had with this. And I have really good photo evidence of what this was doing back in the day. I'll see if I can find that and insert this in here. But all that to say, I did break down and I purchased another bottle of it, and it's definitely not doing the same thing. So obviously something happened to the batch that I had, and whatever that mixing problem had, or that separating that would not come back together either on my skin or in the bottle, that stopped. And this actually has been very, very nice on my skin, and I actually do really like it. It is very, very glowy and very, very hydrating. I feel like I'm going to like this even more in the wintertime. But I did use this, and I liked mixing with this as well. And then the last foundation product I had in here was from Beauty Bakery. I actually used quite a bit of this for me, considering I wasn't wearing makeup every single day during the move. This is their Insta Bake foundation. I got the shade 353C. It is still a little yellow on me, but it is, even though they say it's C, it works. But I also found myself mixing these two together, because this one is a lot more cool toned, and actually the combination of these two together is really pretty. I definitely found myself playing mixologist a lot during this last month, because I really had these as my three primary foundations, and so when I was bored or wanting to mix it up, my really only option was to mix things together and see what happened, and I've pretty much mixed them all together and they all work together. The last foundation I had in here was my Lancome Tint Idol stick. I have very little left of this. I really would like to knock this out completely over the next couple of weeks and call it a day as part of my Project Pan. And then concealer, I had my Potted Glossier concealer, stretch concealer. I have used this quite a bit. It's got a pretty big divot in it. That is part of my Project Pan. And then I had two shades of the Oma Beauty Woke concealer. I very much like this concealer. Finding a shade was really, really difficult. I am the shade White Pearl T1 in the foundation, but White Pearl T1 in their concealer is actually darker than the foundation. If it was the same shade as the foundation, I would have been fine, but it's actually a shade darker, and that used to be the lightest shade they had. They have now done a White Pearl T 0.5 and 0.75, and I am definitely 0.75. I find the lightest shade to just be more bright than I prefer on my skin tone. It just looks like almost white. If you like a really bright under eye, you might really like this, but T 0.75 is darker and it's closer to my skin tone, and it also has a pinkier undertone to it, which I definitely prefer. Blended together, they also make a really pretty shade. So like if I want a brighter under eye, I'm adding a tiny dot of the lighter one and then more of the 0.75. So this formula though, I love, love, love. I think it is one of the nicest concealers on the market. It is hydrating, it is radiant, it blends, it gives good high medium coverage, it works well on your skin, it works well underneath your eyes. Like, Oma was really onto something with this concealer. Powders, I had two. One was my e.l.f. High Definition Under Eye Setting Powder. I added this in at the end just to have a very light powder that I could use to set underneath my eyes. I have to be honest though, a lot of the water out here is very hard, and so I am noticing that because of the harder water, my skin is drier, and so a lot of concealers and things that I would typically even need to set, I'm not setting because my skin just wants that moisture, and it's absorbing the moisture in the concealers and the foundations, and so it's almost like setting itself in a way, so I haven't had to use as much powder. There is a teeny tiny bit left in here. I did use this a little bit, but not as much as I maybe would have thought I would have. And then this is part of my Project Pan. This is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Light. This has kind of been my all over face powder when I do really want to lock down my makeup. All right, now we're on to this giant drawer of blush, bronzer, and highlighter. This is a little Essence blush lighter. It says it's a gradient powder blush that I was testing. It's called Nude Twilight. So you have a very neutral sort of warm blush on this end, and then it goes to a more shiny end on this end. I was happy to see that this side was not an overspray. That's what I was worried about. It is a really pretty blush. It's actually a lot more intense than I would have first thought it to be on this shiny side. So I kind of have to, let's see, there we go. I kind of have to watch myself that it doesn't end up too intense with this glowy side because it is quite golden, and I don't do well often with like super gold blushes, and so I feel like this is going to look better on somebody who has a little bit more of a warm undertone to it, but it is a really nice formula, and I kind of like this like clear lucite packaging that they're doing here. All right, so I have my L'Oreal Glam Bronze. They've renamed this to Lumi Bronze. This is part of my Project Pan. I did use this. I think I've made a pretty good divot in this. I'm now doubting whether or not I will hit pan on this by the end of the year, but hey, we'll see. Especially because I've been, as you can tell, just so cream focused heavy. I'm a little nervous about my Project Pan powder products because that was pretty much all I packed. So this is the only powder highlighter I packed, and the only other powder blush I had besides that Essence one was the one for my Project Pan. So this is NARS Misconduct. So trying to go through this because it is not cruelty free. And then this is Lorac Illuminating Hyaluronic Starlight. Lorac is also not cruelty free, so trying to make some progress on these. All right, now we come to all of the many creams that are in here. Let's get the bronzery type products out of the way first. So this is the Hollywood contour one from Charlotte Tilbury. This is part of my Project Pan. I did absolutely love using this. This is one I bought right before the move, so I will probably give a more detailed review because I think this has not been reported out yet through my budget, but this is the shade Mocha. I definitely bought this because of Amanda Z, and she recommended this not to just like swipe it on your skin because it is a stiffer formula and it becomes a little trickier to blend out. Like I have a hard time even blending that out with like a lot of pressure. The color is really pretty though, but what she recommended doing was actually picking some up with a sponge, just kind of right on the side and picking it up like this and getting a little there and then blending it on the skin, and that is amazing. Like the diffused, gorgeous, perfect bronze, lasts all day sort of cream product when you do that. So I was never a huge, felt like these matchsticks from Fenty were much to write home about because they felt like such a stiff formula, but applied with a sponge, gorgeous. Pulled this out because this is also part of my Project Pan. This is the Maybelline Master Strobing Stick. I did reach for this a ton because I actually did not pack a lot of cream highlighter. I had this for cream highlighter, and then I had the other end of this Oma Double Take Sculpt and Strobe Stick. So I did use this one quite a lot. This product I really enjoy as well. I think this is an amazing product. So you've got a really pretty contoury type shade that is really creamy and easy to blend and yet locks into place once it is done. I love this, and I love this color. This is the lightest shade, by the way, in I think it's just white pearl. Oh yeah, white pearl. The other end, this highlight looks like it would be way too dark, and it is a little dark. It's also got this really pretty rosy cast to it that ends up looking really pretty, almost like on the tops of your cheek, but over top of blush. So I found myself using this, even though it's probably too dark as like a traditional highlighter, if I put this over top of blush and then kind of blended that up onto my cheeks, the effect was so pretty, and it's such a gorgeous highlighter. So this is Glossier Cloud Paint in Dusk. I left this in here because it was part of my Project Pan, and to be honest, I used it a couple of times, but because I had all of these newy things to be playing with from a cream blush perspective, I didn't use it much. Let's do this. So this is Patrick Ta for face. This is Do We Know Her? This is the more peachy toned one. You've got this light sort of apricot blush, and then you've got this cream down here that I think is more like a pinky watermelon, and I liked the fact that with this shade in particular, they weren't the exact tone. I felt like some of the others looked very similar, and so I kind of liked this idea of having two slightly different tones that corresponded well together. Now, I've heard some people say that they don't like the powder on their own and they don't like the cream on their own. I've also heard that you have to put the powder first and then put the cream on top. If you do it in reverse, it doesn't work. Guys, I don't know. I feel like I like this product no matter how I use it. I like it on its own. I like layering it. Either way, I feel like it works. Like, to me, this was just a very effortless product. I don't know if some of the different colors cause people to have different reactions, but I think the powder is a really pretty soft peach color. It's actually a little bit more pigmented than you would think. And then the cream blush is just this really pretty strawberry color. I don't know, I think it's really pretty and I like them both. So I will get better close-up shots of all of this when we report out on things I've purchased, because I think I bought a few of these things right before the move. So this is maybe the first time you're even seeing them. Another one that probably fits in that realm is the Tower 28. This is their Beach Please in Magic Hour, their cream blush in the sort of nude toned. I did like this one because it's a little bit more neutral and a little more browny on me but it still had a nice rosy undertone. It's definitely more balm-like. I don't think it sets down as much as the Patrick Ta, but I do enjoy it because I don't need all my cheek products to go from cream to powder in order for them to be happy. I don't mind a little bit of a dewy balm feel as long as it's not overly sticky, and I don't feel like that one does that. And then I put one of my Fenty creams, I actually have two of them, one in a purpley tone that has a shimmer, and then this is Daiquiri Dip, which was red, and I just wanted to play with something that was red because I was curious to see if I would really enjoy it, and I do. I just have to diffuse it. So typically with something like this, I am picking it up on my e.l.f. staple brush, I'm loading up the brush pretty well, and then I'm taking it on the back of my hand, blending off some of the redness, some of the brightness, and then going into my cheek with what's left because this is such a bright color. But this is a really pretty, I think you can kind of see that there on my hand. It really gives me a very natural sort of sunburnt look when I use a light hand with it. And I think it's actually really pretty. I've been getting into brighter blushes again. It really does allow itself to be sheared out really well. So there's Daiquiri Dip, and I did that on my arm because I wanted to show it up against a couple of AOA. These are their little dollar cheek sheer blushes, and this is in the shade Charm. And I was thinking Charm might be a dupe for Fenty. These are quite bright red, but as Fenty has a little bit more of a strawberry undertone to it, this one's definitely more of a true red. Actually, I think the formula on these is pretty freaking similar in the sense that they shear out really easily, they lock into place, they really are more of a cream to powder texture. And then I also picked up the shade Demure, which could honestly be a warm toned bronzer. This one is probably not my favorite shade just because I don't wear sort of yellow toned brown as a blush on me. So I don't know if this is a shade I'm going to be keeping, but the formula has been very consistent for these, and I do really like them. So this is from a brand called Incredible that is on Sephora, and this little shade, I don't know, the packaging is very simple and it reminds me a lot, quite frankly, of the e.l.f. stick. It is kind of sheer to buildable, and it's a nice soft rosy pink color. I thought it was easy to work with, maybe nothing to write home about, but it was nice. And then I did break down and get one of the Charlotte Tilbury Glogasm light ones. They call these their high blush, and I got the shade Pinkgasm. And it's definitely pretty blinding in terms of being very, very, very glowy on the cheeks. In fact, I like to diffuse this out quite a bit because otherwise I feel like it can be a little metallic, but when it's diffused out, which it's very easy to do, I do like that it's giving me total glow, and I almost don't even feel like I need a highlighter when I'm using this. So this is great. I think it's a really pretty formula. I'm really glad to have this one in my collection. Probably not as remarkable as the highlighter and the contour in my mind, but still a really nice product. And then last but not least, this is my little Salt New York palette. I had ordered it, I think, in the month of May, and then I think because of production issues, she wasn't able to get things out right away because of COVID, and I think I literally got this like a few days before I left. So I had tracked this as May, but I hadn't been able to show you what I got. So I got 4 things from her in this cute little leatherette packaging. It's faux leather, but I ended up getting her contour, her light bronzer. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna remember these shades. Hang on. This is her rose cheek tint, and I think this one is coral peach. And I really like these. These are so easy to work with. They blend out like a dream. I love the colors of the blushes that I picked. The contour shade here is definitely more cool toned, but I like laying that down first and then coming in over top with this very light bronzer on me, which is gorgeous. I love this sheer peachy blush, and then the rose blush ends up being a little bit more almost neutral on me because I'm so cool toned. So I like having, there we go, those all in a single compact. So impressed with this formula. So glad I picked this up. Makes me definitely curious about her potential highlighter and then other blush shades as well. I don't need any of the other bronzers, but the blush might be really, really pretty. So really happy with this. Use this an absolute gob ton over the last couple of months. Third drawer. Stuff in here I used, stuff in here I definitely didn't use really at all. So the two mascaras I had were my Thrive Cosmetics and then my CoverGirl. I used these pretty much any day I was using makeup. There we go, fix the angle a little bit. Some things I did use almost every day. So two brow products. One was the Anastasia Brow Wiz that I got. Gosh, I think I got this for free at Ulta at one point in medium brown, so I've definitely been using that up. And then my Essence Make Me Brow. I think they have discontinued my AOA little $1 fiber brow gel mascara. I haven't been able to find it on the website in my color for probably 3 or 4 months. So I've gone back to purchasing the Essence Make Me Brow because I do like this one, and it's still only like $2.99, $3.99, something like that. And then I had two eyeshadow primers in here. I thought I would use up this Urban Decay primer potion, but man, these things just last for freaking ever. Even when you're using them almost every single day, they just go and go and go. And then we come to a whole bunch of lip products. And guys, I gotta be honest, pandemic really just makes me not want to wear a lip product very often. I will occasionally plop one on before I get on a Zoom call, but in general, I was wearing balm if I had anything on my lips because I had to wipe it off in order to go out in public with a mask. And because we were living in a hotel for 3 weeks and I was having to put a mask on every time I left my hotel room, I just wasn't putting on a lot of lip products and I kind of missed them, if I'm being honest. I packed glosses mostly, so I figured if I was going to wear anything it would be gloss, and I suppose that is true. But the ones that I probably wore the most was this Neutrogena one, which I'm trying to get through for my Project Pan. There's very little product left in here. And then I probably wore this Tower one next because it's, even though it looks bright orange, on your lips, it's actually very, very sheer. And I found like that was a good sort of everyday color for me to pop on. Beyond that, like occasionally with one of these Essence ones, I did end up deciding I didn't care for this e.l.f. Retro Paradise one. I'll probably talk about that in a different video. Just too much glitter particles that remain on your lips after the gloss wears off, so didn't care for that one too much. These are part of Project Pan, so I'll pull them out and set them aside. And then I had all these lip pencils, and I don't know, maybe I reached for them a couple of times, but honestly, hardly at all. So these I'm gonna go back in my drawer. I actually think they're all lovely formulas, but right now I just can't with the lips. I'm all for it with the eyes. I'll even do face. I'll do blush. But lip, I don't know. Haven't been interested. Final drawer, eye stuff. One I think I'm gonna pass on to a friend because I like it, but I don't want to keep it. This is from Laura Mercier. This is the shade Rush in her Caviar Eye Stick. It has this like duochromy blue purpley shift. It is really pretty. Gosh, and now I'm putting it on my hand. And I feel like that blue purple shift is so pretty. I just didn't see myself reaching for this a ton, and I think I want to give this to a friend who I think may have some fun with it. So I'm going to pass this out of my collection. While we're talking about sheer stuff, I will say one of my favorite looks had been to run a very neutral shade, either this light shade in this Natasha Denona palette, or one in my Aether palette, or even one in this little palette down below from Wander Beauty. We'll get to that in a second. One transition shade, and then put this a sort of sheer glittery top coat over my lid and let a lot of my skin sort of peek through. A light peach base with a blue shift. This one has that pink with a little bit of a teal shift, and then this is the shade Ritz, which is more of a, I don't know, what I would consider to be like a traditional sort of bronzy gold with some champagne in it. I don't know, I really liked this very sheer sparkly wash all over my lid with just a little something in my crease to define my eyes. I found myself doing that an absolute ton. Just a very simple makeup look. Well, I know I got this one right before we moved. This is from Ofra. This is their signature palette in Sweet Dreams. I got this on the Ulta website. I feel like it was on sale. The one shade came a little bit smashed. This gives a really pretty pink look. It's kind of an all-in-one palette. You've got 3 mattes, 2 lighter ones, and then a deep one, and you've got a Pillow Talk highlighter in the middle, which can be used all over the eyes, and then this really pretty deeper rose shade. I will do a more thorough review on this when I talk about this in kind of my what I bought videos, but I did play with this one. The one thing I would say is this packaging gets really dirty really fast, and it was difficult to clean. Like, it doesn't, even though it's plastic, it doesn't clean up very easily. So don't love that about it, but the formulas were nice. I don't think the Ofra formula seems to be like my favorite right now, but I had no complaints with how my eye looks turned out with this. Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette, sorry, not Mini Glam. I did use this an absolute ton. It is what is on my eyes today. If you were wondering from the early beginning of the video, my favorite is to put this as my crease shade and out in the outer corner, slap this all over my lid, light dusting of this in the outer corner or for liner, and then a little bit of this in my inner corner. Very easy look, wore it a ton. Definitely a great formula, was great to have. Could see myself traveling with it when I want sort of a warm nude look on myself. My Aether Beauty palette, this is the Rose Quartz one. I use the absolute snot out of this. Continues to be one of my favorite palettes in my collection. This was one of the few things I purchased while I was at the hotel that wasn't an essential, because I wanted to get this, and I will give you my full thoughts on it when I do sort of my roundup. I think it is really prettily packaged. I think Wayne did a really nice job out of the gate. I have some pros and I have some cons for it for sure. So we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. A couple other palettes. This was newer to my collection, but I had hauled it before we left, but I loved it a lot, so I wanted to keep playing with it. This is the Wanderous Palette from Wander Beauty. I love that I could get my sort of rosy toned colors in here. I had really pretty golden and bronzes for summer, nice transition shades. And then this is the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral Palette. This is fun because it's an interesting mix of super warm toned and super cool toned, and I really love it. I actually kind of loved putting a silver on my lid and something more warm toned out in the outer corner. I love this matte here. It's just a great sort of terracotta shade on me. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love it because it's warm, but it also is just a little bit murky, gorgeous, and I love this shade up here in the corner. It's kind of a duochrome peachy shade. Stunning. So I don't know, something about this palette was a lot of fun to play with. Like I said, throwing this sort of silvery shade with a warmer shade, I don't know, for some reason I really liked that juxtaposition. So this is a fun palette, and I'm really happy to have it as part of my collection. Last eyeshadow things were these melted chromes in new shades from Essence. So this is the gold shade in Golden Crown, and then as you can see, this has gotten a lot of use. It's sort of a putty texture that I really enjoy, and it gives a lot of shine. And then this was more of a cool toned, maybe more neutral bronze color, and that is in Warm Bronze. They call it Warm Bronze. I kind of feel like this is more of a cool toned bronze. I don't really feel like I'm getting a whole lot of warmth in there, maybe a little bit of a gold shift, but in general I feel like this was like my perfect summer bronze smoky eye, which is a look that I reach for a lot. And then last things, bunch of eye pencils. All right, so I have all my favorite shades from Julep in here. I also have a shade from Pixie that they discontinued called Matte Mulberry, and I have got to find this sort of rosy brown shade from another brand, because I feel like this is one of my favorite colors and they don't make it anymore. All right, so let's go ahead and clean this box out, and then I'm gonna load back in all of my project pan, and then these bottom 2 drawers can be used for new products that I am testing. I cannot for the life of me remember how I had this positioned, so I'm gonna have to, I remember I had a tissue box up there and then this
I don't know, we're gonna mess with that. I can't remember what went on the top there. But this drawer needs its little organizer, which is this guy here. I picked this guy up at IKEA. They still sell these. It got a little bent, but I'm hoping by putting product in there, it'll kind of flatten out. But this is what I have in here to put, and if you've watched my everyday makeup drawers, you recognize this for sure, but this is where I keep a lot of those everyday products like that, lip balm, eyeshadow primers, etc. The rest of this stuff I think just needs to go back. Oh wait, cloud paint and dusk is something that's part of Project Pan. The other thing I think I'm going to do before I wrap up this video, and honestly I will probably wrap it up with stuff sitting all over this counter and we'll deal with it here in a second, is there was an acrylic container that I believe this sat on top of, and then things like eyelash curlers and the sharpener all went in. Let's see if we can find it over here. Yeah, this guy. This guy has a single drawer out where I kept a lot of that stuff. So this is going to go on this end here, and inside goes things like eyelash curler, that in there. I'm just going to put my Beauty Blender Solid in there for the time being. And then I remember this went on top here, I think. It's been so long I'm forgetting things, but hey, it is what it is. I think that's what went there. And then, oh, I had a decor item up there. This guy went up there as well, just to add a little bit of prettiness in terms of, instead of just functionality. And then the other thing I want to kind of position on here is the other makeup brush holder, which is over here somewhere. Yeah, this guy. So this is one I got on Amazon. It's got that cheesy saying that is like, live, laugh, love, but I always just position it the opposite side so you're not really seeing it. I think I'm going to put that down there. I need to find some of the little beads that went in the bottom so that these all hook up appropriately. But these are the brushes that went down in this section. And then these were face brushes, sorry, eye brushes up here. So I'm going to need to do some sorting on that. But that is kind of the setup. So the acrylic box with some brushes on top and to the side with a little bit of decor. And then I think what I need is a tissue box on top of here because I need some tissues. I'll have to go grab one of those. And then down at this end is sort of this little container by itself. So yeah, but I think that's where we're going to stop for today. I feel like I have accomplished getting everything out of my bathroom, and then I am going to probably off screen go load some of the new makeup that I want to still test, and we will talk about that new makeup when I report out on what I purchased for the months of July and August. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. A little bit different filming style and a little probably rambly because I'm rusty from filming, but hopefully this was a fun video to kind of help me watch unpack. Look for part 2 where we actually dig in to all of the mini boxes tucked behind me here. I hope you guys are having a great day. Talk to you soon.